Now, I'm sure Stephen Conroy would have lots to say about that, but I'm not going to let him because there's more important things I want to ask him about, including the apparent special treatment for New South Wales. Campbell Newman, of course, former Queensland Premier, who may well have a perspective on this as well. Lads, I'm glad you're here. So you've heard all of this here, where I've set out why it's not special treatment for New South Wales. The lockdown last year, of course, had JobKeeper. JobKeeper needed to disappear, despite the threats from the Labor Party that, 150,000 people are going to lose their job. More people were employed in the last numbers that came out than before the pandemic at the start of 2020. When a lockdown goes for longer than 2 weeks, just like the one in Melbourne, there is assistance. And then when it goes for as long as the Greater Sydney one does, there'll be JobKeeper-style assistance, which is a co-payment between the state and federal government. Campbell, I'll start with you. Do I have my New South Wales eyes on here on this night of origin? Is there unfair treatment for New South Wales?
Oh, look, I don't think that that's the case. The only thing I can really point to is there seem to be some adjustments to some aspects of how people are actually down at an individual level getting their money. For example, the $10,000 asset test, which frankly I think was not in accordance with the Liberal Party's values if you wanted to get into the detail of that, but that's about it. So no, and it is, as you pointed out, just the political game that's being played. And for some people in the media to just run it without sort of critiquing the comments by people like Jim Chalmers is an abrogation of their responsibilities. Well,
is anyone surprised that Auntie Fran will flag those things through? I'm surprised she didn't get the ghosting to comment straight after. Here's what Josh Frydenberg had to say, quite specific about the hit as a Victorian.
Well, the Victorian government is just politicising the crisis. Their whinging and the whining is continuing. And what that fails to recognise is the facts that I've laid out, that Victoria got more support on a per capita basis through JobKeeper than any other state.
So, Stephen, God forbid you have to go into a fifth lockdown and it would go for as long as the one in Greater Sydney. Exactly the same stuff would be offered, but this is apparently a special case for New South Wales.
Well, I mean, Paul, I wouldn't say you've got your Team New South Wales goggles on, but I think you've got your Team Blue goggles on, because Campbell's just pointed to an absolutely important difference. Just that mere 10,000 liquid assets test, which won't mean much to your viewers, but it meant a hell of a lot to people who were denied a payment because of it. And the second simple example is in the package, there's federal government funding for mental health initiatives. Really important, really good, but nothing for Victoria. They're just two simple examples of why this is Scott Morrison wanting to protect his political base in New South Wales, because it's vital to his election prospects. They're just two simple examples. I could bother I need a flow chart to go through the race. I can take you through others, but it would actually genuinely be a complex discussion, which we don't have time for. But there are other important sleights of hand in Josh's package. And frankly, as a Victorian, Josh must not have any mirrors in his house, because Josh Frydenberg and every other Liberal spent all of last year attacking Daniel Andrews day in, day out, on your show, on every other show around the nation. There were even leaked talking points out of the PM's office to Liberal MPs about how to attack the Daniel Andrews government. So, yep, I think you've just got your Team Blue goggles on tonight, not your Team New South Wales goggles on.